believe we should be starting up here very, very shortly. And it looks like we're off. All right, so opening up a story, obviously Shantae wakes up to the sound of, first from a bad dream, but then the sound of Scuttletown under attack, which is pretty much a staple within the Shantae series. We're going to quickly go off to investigate, and we're going to run into our good pals Sky and Bolo, who equip us because of the fact that they know that we do not have magic anymore. But they don't know that we have the pirate gear, so you're going to see them just immediately start blitzing off, and it'll be interesting to see which of these racers, if any, choose to attack as many soldiers as possible. It looks like they're avoiding them as much as possible, which is not an invalid strat. The drop rates are very low from these soldiers. CakeSauc3, though, opting to go after that Dark Soldier, getting a Monster Milk right out of the gate. Oh, that's going to put him at a really good advantage. I'm going to be very curious to see where he decides to use that.
Yeah, and Cake was saying just before the race that he'd used up his RNG in his last couple of offline runs, so for him to get a Monster Milk there, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the most uncommon drop that you'll probably see doing this initial sequence. So him landing that, it's obviously a testament to say he did not run out his RNG.
So split strategy here. You see Cake using his Pike Water just to pop the mines a little bit earlier on that screen, whereas Sound Defense choosing not to do that. I believe Sound Defense will be going for a pikeless ammo baron kill, which is more challenging, but he'll then have that pike ball for later on in the run.
Yeah, it's been a staple for him in this entire one since the strat's been kind of republicized. It's a very old strat that no one ever actually used, but it definitely does guarantee some safety later as... right now you're going to see the difference between the two. It looks like CakeSauc3 is getting a little bit trolled by our first boss, the Ammo Baron. We call him RNG Baron for a reason, at least one of the RNG Barons, is because he can do a couple of different things. The one thing you want to see is the red cannonball coming from the cannon, which can happen between 1 and 3 shots. The charges eat even more time, so you don't want to see charges, and he did get a few, but both runners getting... I would say middle of the road to maybe leaning towards bad RNG. I mean, both are obviously the red on their splits, but not too terrible. Yeah. I think in an actual run, you'd probably think reset if you really want to go for top tier, but it's a start, and both runners are very, very close so far.
Yeah, Sound Defense had a much better ammo baron fight, in my opinion. I don't think he got a single charge, and he finished ahead of CakeSauc3, even though Cake only had to do 2 cycles as opposed to 3 because he used that Monster Milk. So for Sound Defense to still finish ahead despite that, it means that's a huge difference in the ammo baron fights.
Yeah, so fortunately, I mean, using that Monster Milk kind of evened the playing field where it could have been much worse after the fact. So again, interesting call to do it, but I don't blame him. I mean, you go for the 2-cycle ammo baron when you get that Monster Milk early. It's just the time save potential is just through the roof when you get to that point.
Yeah, and he used it after the first cycle as well, where I think he might have had 4 or might have even been 5 charges. So at that point, he's probably just wants to cut his losses and get the fight over as quickly as possible.
Yeah, the Monster Milk makes Ammo Baron potentially sub 2 minutes opening. Very tight, though, depending on how quickly that red one comes through. But probably a smart play on CakeSauc3 to use it based on how bad the RNG was opening up there. Both killing the Hacklebat, which, by the way, is the only one you'll see killed in this run. It's mandatory by story. This is a plot device, these particular creatures, which you'll see throughout the remainder of the run, but none of the runners will engage. So it looks like we're very close to sync here between the two after the fight.
Cake making up a little bit of time in that fight, just a couple seconds. The slightly better fight, but both of them neck and neck now as they head in to pick up the library pass from Sky.
Yeah, so we're supposed to be under house arrest, but instead of following, true law and whatnot, going to the court, we're going to break that. Sound Defense making a slight mistake there, going into the shop by accident, so I'm pretty sure he did not mean to intend that. You are supposed to take this save, though. It's mandatory. Otherwise, the red guard at the edge of town will not let you through. So I think nerves maybe are kicking in a little bit for Sound Defense here.
Yeah, not every other time you leave Sky's house, you pretty much go to the shop, so it's just habit at that point. Yeah, Cake gets another Monster Milk because Sound Defense gets a Lobster Tail.
Yeah, so the charge through these scarecrows is on purpose. I mean, you see the slowdown as they hit them. Your damage increases for every monster you hit during the course of the charge, and the slowdown happens or actually reduces with every hit. So, hitting those ones though, they have a chance to drop some really really good items. Cake Sauce wins that battle though, getting another monster milk, which I'm pretty sure I know exactly where that one's going to get used as they start going into the sewers for the next required items.
Sound Defense getting none from the bottom one, so he's going to have to go to the right here. Although Cake getting 2 from the bottom one and 1 from that top one, but he had to wait a very long time for that top one to come back. And I think Sound Defense is still only on 2.
Yeah, he's very unlucky right now. So what we were doing with the tight jump gap right there of bouncing on snakes in the tight quarters is it allows us to duplicate item drops. So the snakes have a lingering hitbox, and every time you hit that hitbox, it allows you to get another chance for a 50-50 drop on nothing or a flesh pop. And Sound Defense is getting probably the worst case scenario you've ever seen. He had to go through the entire sewers just to meet Bolo's quota. You have to hand him over 3 to be able to get the next item to press. And he had to do a full loop around the sewers in order to move forward. Where Cake Sauce, he's got, I wouldn't say the most optimal, but he's definitely edged way ahead and already has the advantage of the monster milk moving forward throughout the rest of this run. It'll be interesting to see what happens when RNG decides to swing here.
Yeah, RNG definitely plays a huge factor in this game, but I don't think I've ever seen the snakes be that stingy before. And yeah, Cake's gotten good luck throughout. Sound Defense has got nothing. That's a complete polar opposites in their RNG so far, but it can all change as the run goes on. Still a long, long way to go.
Yeah, CakeSauc3 just turning in the map with the old man there is going to bury your court summons into red tape as he starts his charge back. Again, you're going to see, most likely, it looks like no pike pulse. He's going to skip these orcs, but he probably will opt to go through these scarecrows again, just to see what other items he could potentially get from an RNG perspective. I think ideally he's looking for a super pike ball as he gets a regular. Maybe another monster milk, that would definitely help for later parts of the run. Gets another regular pike ball as he goes through. So not the most optimal on that, but at least he got a couple of extra items that might help later.
So Sound Defense not choosing to use his pike ball here either, so he'll be saving it presumably for the back gal in the second dungeon.
Yeah, given his RNG drops at this point, I don't blame him, to be honest. I don't think you trust this game beyond that point. When you get really trolled and have to go through the sewers like that. So Cake Sauce has handed over everything. He returning the library card to Sky nets you $100, and he went to his first shop. I did not see what he was purchasing, so I'm not sure if he's setting up for a 2-shop route or 3.
Just a 3 shop. He only had 36 gems, so.
Oh, okay. So he was a little low. He needed 150 to set up for the 2-shop route. So he'll probably be following a more standard one then at this point.
Yeah, so I'd like to point out that Sound Defense did get a monster milk on his way back through Scarecrow Field, so they're equal in that from this point on, which will be very good for him.
Yep. All right, Cake Sauce is moving through the first island, which is ominously named Saliva Island. You'll find out very shortly why. Quickly, we got to take a detour and meet Twitch and Vinegar. Yes, that is their real names. And they brought Ham because they wanted to swim here, but the wells run dry, basically. And we got to figure out how to turn the water back on. Well, you're going to find out why this is called Saliva Island very quickly as we meet this giant lizard thing, and the thing likes ham. So collecting that ham stink as he does the standard animation skip. The 3 pauses are on purpose. It causes the animation to skip for him blinking his eyes open before he drools. I did not go for the cut from anything that I could see there. It looked like it was a pretty standard attempt there, at least getting the time save on getting the animation skip. We'll see what Sound Defense decides to do here.
I imagine he will go for it. I think he usually does. Not quite getting it at all, though. Quite far off.
Yeah, he was. I don't know that he really went for it either. I think he went for a standard. I think he knows his RNG has pretty much told him he's behind. So why waste the potential time loss in missing it and just keep moving forward and hope for things to turn around. Meat chunklet from Cake Sauce as he was on his way down. That's actually not bad. Food items and potions are of value in this particular one. Not for healing, even though the runners will be running on an extremely minimal amount of health. But they can be a time save in regards to skipping animations for collection. Mainly keys throughout dungeons that they're going to be picking up. And you probably will see this very, very shortly from Cake Sauce's side as he decides to turn around and go into this secret Easter egg, which is a throwback dungeon from the Game Boy Color game, the original Shantae, where he will be going through and collecting keys. And the fun part about that is keys are not locked to the dungeon you pick them up in. So you are able to collect these and then carry them forward throughout the game and use them at whim on locked doors. So you're going to see them pick up 2 here, as per standard, as he dodges these platforms.
Yeah, they'll be using these keys just shy of 20 minutes later on into the run. So yeah, save them a lot of time.
Yep, so you're going to see both of them going through here to do this. It's a huge time save. I mean, the part that actually is used is a very big time sink if you decide to do it normally. But grabbing these keys now is monstrous in regards to time saves at this point. All right, so Cake Sauce just completing his particular one, taking the intentional death warp, which warps him back to the entrance, which is the most optimal. It takes you right back out to where you need to go to progress to the actual dungeon you need to go through. And we'll keep an eye on how he deals with his Wetman room as Sound Defense finishes up his run through the retro dungeon here.
Yeah, Sound Defense tried to do the animation skip on the first key, but just missing it. So I imagine we'll go for it again here. Let's see if he gets it.
Yep.
And he does, yep. So you see him eating the flesh pop there. You don't get the pickup animation and save a couple seconds, 2 to 3 seconds, I believe it is.
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3 seconds every time you can do that. So the more items that you have in your inventory to be able to make those skips, the better. Cake Sauce obviously to use this monster milk here, not a bad call. It melts these wet men in this room, which is a gauntlet room. You cannot progress until you kill them. And the advantage is because of the fact you kill them so quick, we can get to the boss, still have that buff in effect, and be able to melt the first boss as he walks into the first room and meets our first boss, Cyclops Plant. So keep an eye on this one, no pun intended. It's going to melt very quickly. Oh, there's first phase. If you blink, you missed it. The second phase, however, could go a little bit different.
Yeah, so interesting to note on Sound Defense's side, he's not used his monster milk for the Batman, so I doubt he will use it for the boss as well. Probably saving it for later on in the run and in case he gets bad RNG.
Yeah, Cake Sauce, unfortunately, having a little bit of trouble there on second phase. He did melt the first part, no problem. He got the first bounce on that one, but missed a little bit on the second one, allowing the eyeball to get away. Had to go get him when he settled. So, not the most optimal fight, but still very, very quick because of the fact that the monster milk increases damage. We'll see what Sound Defense does here.
Sound Defense could make up a little bit of time here, even without that monster milk.
Doesn't look like he's opting to go with the monster milk right now.
No, so he's doing it. Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting he chose to do that in this particular phase. I mean, if you plan to use it, I would say you do it in the Wetman room because it gets rid of them so quickly, get through that, and then you still have it for this boss. But you can see how fast it destroys that first boss. So he's just trying to keep up ground. He knows he's behind based on RNG, and he's going to keep trying to do whatever he can to move forward. As Cake Sauce delivers the map to Risky and gets deposited on Spiderweb Island. I hear that this place has monster web coverage, by the way. Oh, Moni, no, that's bad punnage. So, all right, so Cake Sauce is navigating this particular place. You're going to see one of the first sequence breaks that the New Game Plus mode offers. Using the cannon there, he's going to get this fossil early, which normally would come back to later in progression with a normal mode run. But he's able to grab that early. That's going to be needed for later as he's going through these vertical rooms with these ghosts. These ghosts are a little bit of RNG. They appear in certain areas, but we're not entirely sure where. They can block you. Cake Sauce having no problem navigating that and meets our friend Roddy Tots, who actually did come to this island for monster web coverage. I'm not lying here. but is captured by that giant spider. We rescue her, and now we get to start basically this game's version of an auto-scroller.
Yeah, Run on Rocky Tops is an interesting section of the game. You can't make up a whole lot of time here, but you can certainly lose it. So what they'll be doing, any of the enemies they hit here will send them back to the start of the room. They have no health, but yeah, you just get sent back to the start of the room as Cake gets past the gatekeeper, no trouble, but missing that tongue skip. So there are a few places you can save time, like skipping past these tongues. You can just about get down off the ledge and avoid their tongue hitbox. But if you get hit by one instead, you get sent back to the start of the room. But other than that, you're basically just waiting for spikes to come down from the ceiling, for various cycles to happen, for enemies to get out of your way. In this, 4 to 5 minute section?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 4.5 minutes optimally, 5 minutes if you take 1 or 2 hits, depending on where you take them. But a lot of this, like the spikes, as far as we can tell, are global cycle. So there's a timer in play in the background that kind of determines exactly where it is. They're going to hope for some good RNG in that regard a bit later in this part as they deal with one of the longer rooms. As CakeSauc enters basically the true auto-scroller part, dealing with these things, all you can do is just wait these platforms out, or these cycle pillars. That's the word I'm looking for. Pillars out as he just kind of plugs his way through it. Sound Defense having not any real issues with tongue droppers either. So he's not too far behind. I mean, we're only looking at about 2 screens between the 2 runners so far, which is not unexpected.
Yeah, Sound Defense made up a little bit of time there, getting a couple of those tongue skips. I don't think Cake even got a single one, so that will save him. It was only a few seconds he saved, but again, we'll get him edged a little bit closer towards Cake.
Yep, and you're wondering why CakeSauc is pausing and jumping. It's because these gravestones, we know which ones move. There are only certain ones that will do, but when they move and what direction they move is RNG. So it's better to just kind of plan that one of those ones is going to stand up at the wrong time. You can't really YOLO it, because when you do, you usually get caught unawares. And it's better to just try to avoid, especially in a race format, to make sure you're not losing time by taking a hit. And again, everything in here is 1-hit KO, and will send you back to the beginning of the room you started in. So it's better to just plan and be safe, especially in a race, to make sure that does not occur.
Cake coming to the end of the stream now. This is one of the 2 long rooms in here, so yeah, if you die towards the end of this, you will get some of the room and lose quite a lot of time. But thankfully, this room is not too challenging.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I have to report that nobody did a stake jump. These runs are already looking to be very invalid from our perspective, at least the long-term runners. We like to throw in a little bit of swag. No, it's not an actual requirement, I'm sorry, but I just have to throw that out there.
There's Cake now coming to the so-called Stevens. They have been dubbed for this tournament. I mean, he's now in the room. Let's see if the gates are open to him. And they are. And the Stevens are nice to him. They shoot in the wrong direction, or the right direction on Cake's side, getting the taco jump, and that is a pretty much perfect room. That was very, very nice by him.
Yeah, that was extremely lucky in the fact that he was able to slip under that initial part very, very tightly, but having him close right behind him, which opens up the next part. So that was the most optimal thing you could see with basically what we call the gates of hell.
Yeah, even if they are open, there's a chance that the Stevens or the snakes will shoot, and you will still be unable to move and get through, so you have to wait for the cycle. But they're getting very, very fortunate there. Let's see what happens with the Sound Defense. No, gates are closed for him.
Yeah, and CakeSauc avoiding the most painful death you could take, which would send him back to that extremely long room. He got through no problem. Sound Defense doing the taco jump there, which saves about a half second in that regard. No problem there. As he enters the final room, which is the most punishing, where they throw everything that you've seen up at that point at him at the same time. Any death here is very painful. It probably costs between, I would say, 35-40 seconds if you take one at the end. So really hoping that he doesn't get a pincer here. We'll see what happens.
This Cake is now about to pick up the most important item in the game.
Yeah, the shriveled thing. And it's not RNG. As much as we want it to not do what it's going to do, it's going to do what it does. And it's odd that we cannot skip that one text box. But hey, guess what? It smells. It always smells. You would think that maybe after all this time, Poe would wash it, but nope, he never does.
So Cake now entering into the second dungeon of the game, Cackle Tower. Down here, you'll see he'll be going for a key. There was a key he could have picked up in the first dungeon, Scuttle Maze, but most players choose to go for this one because there is a chance of getting some more drops, either Pike Balls or Super Pike Balls from some skeletons, or if you're very lucky, Super Monster Milk, Super Pike Ball, or a Pirate Flare from the Bat Gal.
Yeah, they'd like to see the Monster Milk, and it's funny that you mentioned the drop chance on the skeletons. I mean, I did all the analysis on the drop rates for all these monsters, and for as low as the calculations are, it happens much more frequently than you'd think. Although CakeSauc's getting pretty dry on that particular one, I didn't see anything really drop for him, even regular Pike Balls.
I think he got one regular Pike Ball, but nothing off the Bat Gal, so that's very unfortunate to see for him. But with the RNG he had early on, I don't think he can complain too hard yet.
Yeah, I mean, he got those Monster Milks. You know, I think there's an ebb and flow with the RNG in this game. It feels like as a consistent runner, and you start to realize that certain things will go your way, but other things won't. You have to adjust accordingly. It just depends on when. So it's a very big mental chess game that I think both runners are dealing with. You have to keep mind of what you've gotten so far from an RNG perspective. As I see, Sound Defense actually got a Super Pike from one of those skeletons in the last room. So you can see how RNG can just sway. He hadn't gotten anything up to this point, but now he's starting to get some very big luck, as he also gets the optimal drop, the Super Monster Milk from the back throw. So here we go with RNG doing what it does.
Yeah, I believe the Super Pike Ball is a 2% drop from the skeletons there, so very, very lucky getting that.
Yeah, getting that, and then the Super Monster Milk too. I mean, that sets him up very well for some later stuff, but this is kind of how it is running this game. Like you'll go dry for a while, but if you keep going, sometimes the game will take a little bit of pity, it feels like, and move you forward. CakeSauc's moving into our next boss, by the way, Empress Spider. This is the one that was about to eat our friend Roddy Tops before she made us go through that thing, as we watch to see, and it looks like he's doing a really good job of doing the optimal strat. So the best way to deal with this boss is play chicken. Stay in her hitbox. Let the Super Pike Ball do its work as you do. Oh, but he loses his auto potion. It was a really good job of staying in her hitbox, but he missed out on some whip damage, I think.
Yeah, he fell out a couple times towards the end, especially once just after he was being hit. So you don't want to fall out just after you've been hit, because you lose your invincibility that would get you all that damage. And so I'm surprised he didn't play that safe. So losing the auto potion there can be very, very big indeed. Yes, take it safe now for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of deals with that. Sound Defense looks like he's taking a little bit more safer approach, more of a standard one, staying up to the side of the hitbox as he lets the Pike Ball and his Hair Whips do some of the damage, but opting not to try to do the hover strat, which, by the way, just to kind of explain what CakeSauc was doing there, during being in the air and jumping, if you whip at the right time, right before you take damage, you get stun locked, which will allow Shantae to jump again, and that little quote-unquote ground that you're on will allow you to jump or refreshes your cannons again. Wow, CakeSauc with 2 more Monster Milks to the cacti.
Yeah, the game's realised it didn't give him much on Spiderweb and is making up for it now with those. So yeah, 2 Monster Milk drops. They'll be very happy to see them.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, if he wants to use regular Monster Milks for the rest of the run, he's pretty much set, I think, on inventory for bosses. At least
he's only
for
got
that
2
threat.
Monster Milks, so...
Does he? Oh, that's right.
He got 2 earlier when he used them, yeah. So he needs another 2 milks.
So Sound Defense has got a little bit of ground to make up. I mean, CakeSauc has a little bit of advantage. I mean, this helps his shopping route a ton. He doesn't have to worry about gems as much because Monster Milks are the more expensive buff to buy. So CakeSauc is got an advantage there. Sound Defense needs a little bit of RNG help at this point. Although I don't think either runner has gotten a bubble shield yet.
No,
Maybe
not
I saw
yet.
one.
Sound Defense getting a meat chunklet there, which is the drop you want to see the least, but if he chooses to use that for an animation skip, that's 3 seconds save, so definitely not a bad item to get.
Yeah, not bad. As CakeSauc is doing kind of a fetch quest thing, he's dropped back into Saliva Island for a revisit. After meeting our friend Squid Bear in there, as Sound Defense is doing now, we get the X-ray specs. We have to go looking for some codes to be able to break into our next actual location. So, unfortunately, these sarcophagi have a little bit of a curse on them, as I believe Cake is about to go demonstrate for us here. As Sound Defense goes back to Saliva Island to track down that first code that he's going to need to get in. And we're going to go visit our friend Sky, who has a new boyfriend, and Mom and Dad are very happy about this. Well, Mom is, at least.
Very interested to see what items Cake will decide to buy in the shop here. It was 159 gems. He can buy all the pirate flares he needs for the rest of the run, but then he doesn't have any super pike balls, so he could choose just to buy 3 pirate flares or 4 pirate flares and get a super pike ball instead.
Yeah, he went for the 3, went for super monster milk. Yep. After Joe's brutal murder by Sky's dad, Cake decided to go ahead and just supplement his milk, which is an interesting call in my opinion. I think with the regular drops, it's not terrible. I mean, I think he's banking up some RNG from the Scorp Gals for Pike Ball drops, or he's got the skeleton charge coming up, which he's going to do right now.
Yeah, and collecting the gems there, which slows you down, which costs you quite a bit of time. Not sure exactly how much, but you have to stop there to pick up the gems, then you have to charge up again, and then because you've just broken through a bunch of rocks, which would have slowed down your enemy hit pause, you have to get that getting going again. So you probably lose just shy of 10 seconds, somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds, I imagine, for getting those gems.
Yeah, somewhere around there, and wow, what bad RNG was that? He grabbed the code early, went through the skeletons and got nothing, not even a regular pike ball, which is extremely rare to see, and only netting 2 pike balls on the way back. So he's going to be a little short on optimal pike balls because RNG has decided to forsake him a little bit.
Yeah, those skeletons, I think they've just run out of stock of super pike balls lately. I've not been getting any in my runs, and yeah, most of the runs I've seen, they're just not dropping any at all. Sound Defense doing a similar, doing the exact same shop as Cake did, 3 pirate flares and a super monster milk. As he does get a super pike ball from the skeletons, maybe another one, but not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, the text box looked like it was leaning towards the super pike ball one. I usually look for kind of how that looks as it pops up. You may not get the text, but you can get a general sense on size when it tries to appear. He might have gotten 2, but I'm going to bank on 1 here as he
I think it's only 1. Yeah, watching the stream there, it looked only like the 1, but he'll be up to 2 now, so 2 super pike balls, 2 super monster milks for him at this point in time, which is very nice.
Yeah. And Cake is currently in the first room of our Metal Gear Shantae, Tanline Temple escape. So we get captured, mistaken for this temple's long-lost princess as we enter. And this is a stealth section. You do not want to be seen by these guards. Any capture costs you a significant amount of time, as when you're captured, you don't get taken back to the beginning of the room you started in, but back to the beginning of where you start in general. So far, so good. He's doing... Oh
no.
Wow, that was an interesting strat. I've never seen a setup like that, but it did not work out in CakeSauc's favor.
And they're neck and neck now.
Yeah, now we've got sync. Yeah, now we've got sync just for that one mistake. I mean, you can see how costly it is to get caught by a guard here, as CakeSauc basically just forfeited his lead just barely. And now it's going to be very interesting to see how both these runners move forward on this stealth section.
Yeah, so I'd give Sound Defense the ever so slight advantage in this run now. He's got more gems, he's got better items, and yeah, they're absolutely neck and neck. So Sound Defense, all that early RNG he didn't get, as he's now caught up thanks to that mistake by Cake.
Yeah, so now it's literally platforming. I mean, obviously this is the second trip for CakeSauc as he's trying to go through here. He's doing that same setup again. He gets it this time, so no loss there. Sound Defense looks like he's going for it. CakeSauc doing the 1 cycle and getting through there. That one, by the way, is super risky. If you get caught by this last guard, that's 1 minute you've lost. If you do everything optimally just to get back there and through the rest of the entire segment. So, big risk. Cake Sauce getting just a little bit of an advantage through his platforming there because he did not have to collect that key where Sound Defense did. It was necessary to complete this part. Speaking of keys, this is where those keys we farmed up earlier come into play. We're not going through the winding, twisting, maze that this place is to pick up all the keys that we need to free our compatriots, which have all been captured along with us, go figure. So this is where the big time save is. It probably saves a good 5-7 minutes, I think, overall, like doing everything that you need to do to get the keys to this part.
Probably not quite that long, but yeah, maybe 3 minutes or so.
Yeah, it depends on how quickly you go and if you know where you're going, obviously. But 3 minutes is a long time in speed runs. So you take a minute and a half grabbing keys out of one dungeon, and you compare it to 3 minutes getting this one, and it's just no comparison here. As we find out that everyone was kidnapped in a span of 30 minutes because the original princess, pictured there, had gone to the store for French bread.
And to answer the question, Cake got caught by the second guard in the final room. So after that, they were both of them in sync. Yeah,
he probably lost about a good 50 seconds on that capture, maybe more, 55, maybe at the tops. So it was very painful capture for Cake, which has made this race that much closer, but it was already pretty close overall.
So it'll be interesting to see if either player here decides to kill some Scorpgals. I doubt the Sound Defense will, but Cake does not have a super pipe ball yet, so it wouldn't surprise me if he would. He's not getting this one, but he might. I don't know if he's picked up the strategy of killing the one in the catacombs here and getting the key from it as well, or not. We will see.
I'm gonna guess not. I think he's gonna go right for the gauntlet room, and just go for it there. We'll see what Sound Defense does. I think Sound Defense kind of has picked up on that strat, so there could be a slight divergence of routing here. Looks like Cake Sauce is setting up for going right down purple block.
Sound Defense used the monster milk. That's interesting.
Did he? Or did he get one?
Maybe he got one. Maybe I'm blind. Yeah. That makes more sense.
No. Yeah, I think he got one from the cacti because I don't see him glowing as using one, and gets a super pike ball on the extra key. So that key grab is a little bit of a divergence. It is a little bit slower, but saves some time in a later dungeon by grabbing that extra key. So it kind of pays off in the fact that he actually got the drop from the Scorpgal as well, and could play into his benefit. He gets 2 more monster milks from the cacti in the gauntlet room too.
Yeah, I didn't see if either player got a bubble shield, so if they didn't, that'll be another 25 gems they'll need to keep to the side for the next shop.
I believe someone does. Cake Sauce was that the one cycle crusher?
He did get the one cycle. The Sound Defense is going for the same. So how you do this is...
Doing the setup, but too early.
Yep. Yeah, so the way the setup for that works is you move slightly away across the room and do 4 butt wiggles, count the butt wiggles, and then after the 4th one, if you start charging, then you should just make it in time to get the one cycle.
All right, Cake Sauce engaging our good pal Squid Baron, who he's accepted his role as mid boss. It looks like he's got Super Monster Milk, regular Pike Ball.
Oh, and that's very unlucky. They're getting him in the eating phase, so that means he's going to have a much slower second phase.
Yeah, Squid Baron works on a script where he follows a very set pattern of moves. He's going to charge. He's going to jump, he's going to charge again, and if you can kill him before he finishes that second charge, you know he's going to go into an eating phase right after that where you can just wail on him. Cake Sauce just missing it. Sound Defense, I think, going all out. Looked like he was not going to waste any time here.
He's just got a regular Monster Milk Sound Defense, but he should still get a quicker kill overall than Cake Sauce did because of the fact he's just gone into the eating phase here.
Yeah, he's got him on script, which is fine. I mean, you're going to get a little bit of a charge, but shortly after that charge, you should be able to down him, which he does right there. Okay. I was waiting for it. I thought it was a little delayed there, but no big deal. I mean, again, we're only talking less than a minute between the 2 runners at this particular point.
Not even that, less than 20 seconds, and a lot of that time is going to be caught up just from that extra key that Sound Defense has that Cake needs to grab later on.
Yeah,
plus, Sound Defense has much better items, so yeah, he should have the advantage. Still.
Yeah, this will be very interesting to see how the late game plays out at this point based on the buffs available to the runners. We're gonna see what Cake Sauce does. We have to take a divergence after getting the map. We don't just jump right to the island. We need one item progression, which you're gonna see both runners do. They're gonna go talk to Bolo to turn in the fossil and the X-ray specs to him to get the death mask. Without that, if you go through the next island, you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna be turned away because you don't have the item you need to progress. It's interesting to see Cake not do his job here either. He's really gonna go for it at this point. We're going to see what Sound Defense does. He's currently doing the turn in. We'll see if he actually does a shop here as well. But I think with his drops, he probably will out as well.
He will wait for the shop, I imagine. If you are going to do a shop here, it's quicker to do the shop first. Because when you're on the island, you're on the right of Risky, further close to the shop. And then you less distance to travel back after getting the death mask. So it's actually probably less than the second difference, but slightly more efficient to go to the shop first. There's Cake missing up a dash here.
Yeah, and ideally you want to keep this charge through the entire island. Now, Sound Defense is well versed. Cake relatively new, but picked up the strats very well. I didn't see him struggle through here at all, and I'm sure Sound Defense won't either. Neither one are getting momentumless boots, but that's a tough trick. It's a very, very tough one. So when you get to that save room, you can potentially keep your charge, but it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably a frame perfect trick. And neither runner are at least struggling. That's a casual nightmare. If you get stopped in your charge at any point, you can get swarmed very quickly, and the damage really stacks up. But neither runner here having any issue with that. As we start a fetch quest for the coins, this is to get to play our favorite game of heads and tails.
So they'll be collecting the 3 coins here, then taking them to the gamers, where they'll have to correctly guess heads or tails 3 times in a row, which might sound like it's a lot of RNG, and it is, but thankfully, after you get it wrong 3 times, the game decides to show you some mercy, and the 4th time you'll get it correct no matter what.
Yeah, so hopefully what they want to see is obviously menuing is slow. You do not want to have to menu the tails, so we're going to opt for heads and save that few frames that it takes to menu down to tails and confirm. Doesn't always happen, but that's what everyone I think will be looking for. There are some people I've noticed throughout this tournament though have adopted the heads tails strat, where they will get 2 heads in a row and then opt to choose tails on Red Gamer. It's paid off once thus far.
Yeah, I've tried picking that up in my practice, and every time I've done it, it's been heads. So I
don't figure
that back.
Yeah, I think it's better to just go heads, and let RNG be what it is. But if it works for you, hey, why not? It looks like Cake Sauce is doing a little bit of a gem grind, which is very rare in this category. But I understand why. I mean, his RNG has not been the greatest. He's going to need to buy some rather expensive items. So a couple of rounds there where you can grab 30 coins per is it 30 or 60? Pretty sure
30, I believe.
Yeah, 30. So 3 shots into that wall gets you 3 pots broken, 30 gems. But that gem grind has now brought our runners very, very even again as we see what happens. Sound Defense got the heads, tails.
I think Cake just got nothing but tails there, didn't he?
I believe so. Yeah, he's got the locket already. So 3 tails in a row is, I think, the 4th best RNG pattern you can get. You'd rather see heads, but heads, or heads. I forget. I'm sorry. It's heads is the best. Tails, heads is. I'm not even sure. It's hard to math it. I'm sorry, but at any rate, again, both runners not too bad on the heads, tails section. They're both grabbing this manly musk, which is required to move forward. The shadow guy gives us the old spice. The next dungeon will not let flowery people in, so you got to smell a little strong.
Yeah, we were saying before the race that it might come down to a coin flip, and the gamers might decide that. So before that, Sound Defense took the lead slightly. After the gamers, Cake got back into the lead. So yeah, gamers having an impact on the result of the race there.
Yeah, I mean, now it's going to come down to execution on this next boss, and then a little bit of RNG on the following, I think. I mean, I knew this was going to be tight, but wow, this one's really playing out. All right, so we're in the Oblivion of Suffering, and this is normally where you would grab Risky's boots in a normal playthrough. Again, the Risky Shuffle trivializing a lot of things, and you're going to see just how broken Risky Shuffle is. This elevator puzzle that CakeSauc just basically completely destroyed there. You would normally have to go in a loop, be able to open up a few things to line up those elevators. The Risky Shuffle just allows us to just bypass all of that. You take the right elevator down, and suddenly, hey, guess what? You're meeting our next boss, Dagron. The massively misspelled monstrosity. And this boss is interesting. The damage scales up here quite a bit, and this boss speeds up with damage that he's taking. CakeSauc's going with a normal Monster Milk, normal Pike Ball, and Sound Defense using a Super Monster Milk and regular Pike Ball. So the differential is 5 points of damage between the two runners. And, CakeSauc's having a little bit of trouble bandaging him as he gets away. Sound Defense having no trouble with this boss.
Yeah, Sound Defense just getting the free cycle there quite easily. I believe with regular Pike Ball and regular Monster Milk you can free cycle him, but you need to hit him on the way up to get that. Yeah,
a little bit of extra one, so there's a bit of timing as you knock him down, which the only way you can knock him down is an actual hair strike in the air. The Pike Ball will not knock him down, so it's a very important mechanic to keep in mind. So you have to time your whip strikes just in time to do that, and there's a certain number of whip strikes per cycle to keep in mind, where you can jump up in the air at the same time as he's ascending and get a few more strikes in. It matters in that fight because it can get out of hand quickly as Dagron speeds up with the more damage he takes.
So you'll see both players are running out of this area as Sound Defense clipping the wall down and stopping his charge. The reason for this is that the village of Lost Souls counts as an inside area and you're only allowed to use your Pirate Flare outside, so they've got a little bit of a run back before they get out and can use their Pirate Flare to head back to Risky Ship.
Yeah, and I'll quickly point out people that were trying to charge up their Risky charge before engaging it in the room before where the gamers were and where they got the locket. It's because there's an invisible wall coming from the right-hand side that they have to account for. So building up the charge, going through the loading zone, and then engaging the charge after the new screen loads allows you to circumvent that one. Otherwise, if you do it beforehand, it'll stop your charge. So Sound Defense did bonk on his way out, but made it through okay. CakeSauc got it pretty good. So we're, again, very, very tight. And we moved on to Frostbite Island, which is, again, another platforming nightmare and huge damage increase from a casual player's perspective. Go ahead.
It'll be interesting to see if Cake decides to kill the wolves. It looks like he's doing that. They have a very low chance to drop a Super Pike Ball and an even rarer chance to drop a Super Monster Milk, as well as 5 gems, as he clips aside there. Thankfully avoids the wolves' damage. They do 6 hearts of damage there. So that's 6 points of damage to you, and you only have 8 health, so that's quite bad. Yeah, he chooses to kill some, hopefully getting drops, but he's going to miss them now that he's lost his no kill time. No, he's still going for it.
Yeah, his lead diminished very quickly with that bonk. And I mean, again, the damage increase is huge. I mean, we're talking 6 points of damage. That's 1.5 hearts, and you see both runners have 2 hearts. So that's almost a one-shot kill. I mean, it's very tight, and those platforms and the way that the game is designed, you can hit a corner and slide back down those, and you got a wolf in your face. It's very, very dangerous. And hitting those wolves also, by the way, is only a 1% chance for a Super Pike and a Super Monster Milk. Actually lower for the milk. So it's a risk. It can pay off, but you have to platform it just right to really make it work for you. As both runners now are currently working their way through the Propeller Town area, which is a very fun platforming area when you have the hat and the cannon in conjunction. Normally you'd be here with just the hat, but I think that this was well designed for both of those by way forward, and both players are going to have a lot of fun going through it. I don't believe either one is going to go for the auto potion jump. I know that one of our runners doesn't have their auto potion, so we will not see a recently developed 10-second time save employed in this particular regard, but there is the potential for that to happen.
Yeah, it's a very risky strategy to go for. So you can use your auto potion to reset your jump, and I think you have a 2-frame window to do it. But if you get it wrong, you have to menu to your auto potion, fail the jump, and stop your charge.
Cake.
Then because Cake takes the death there.
Yeah, he forgot to buffer his jump going through the loading screen, which actually clips you on that platform with the mech walker. Usually results into exactly what you saw there, him falling into a pit. It's not instant death, it's just 1 point of damage, but yeah, if you don't buffer that jump properly, it will get you.
Sound Defense now doing the final backtracking of the game as he gave the screen went a bit black for a bit too long there. I was worried for a second, but everything's fine. So he's heading to go hand back in the Death Mask and the Lost Soul to get Joe's soul, and then be doing a couple more things before heading into the final dungeon.
Yeah, again, I mean, there's not a lot of difference between these two runners, so we still have Steel Maggot coming, so RNG can still bring this race to anyone's actual grasp in regards to a win. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Sound Defense obviously turning in the Death Mask for the final player that he'll need for the run. Doesn't have to buy another one. But opting to do a shop. No, that's right. We're on a 3-shop route.
Doesn't have any pirate flares, yeah.
Yeah, this is a 3-shop route for both runners, so we're going to see them dip into this shop before they do their final charge on the fetch quest to do that. I don't believe either runner is going to look to get anything from the Scarecrows. Cake might, though. I know he's a little low on resources at this point.
Did Sound Defense only buy 1 pirate flare, though? I saw he bought some potions. I believe a Super Monster Milk, a Bubble Shield. I think he might have only bought the 1 potion. 1 pirate flare, sorry.
1 pirate flare will be interesting. I mean, the big one, the most important one right now is flaring from here. I mean, going from Branson back to town is much bigger. If you choose not to flare back from the factory, it's only 6 seconds. So it's not a bad call. If he's low on money and he needs a buff, it's a good call. So I don't blame him. Oh, Cake getting a super pike ball from one of the Scarecrows on his way to Branson.
That'll be exactly what he was looking for when he chose to kill those. I doubt he'll care about the gems here. I very much doubt he's going to head to another shop. That bento box would be nice as well. That's an animation skip. So yeah. Definitely charging through those. He's more than made up for the time he lost.
Yeah, I that actually played back into his favor. So again, the ebb and flow of RNG in a run in this game. Like, you know, you want to give up, but sometimes you want to just plug through and just see what happens with this game, and that's how it works. I didn't notice. I'm sorry, Turkey. This is on me. I did not pay attention if anyone got your favorite trick. So that's my bad. I was kind of plugging through the strategies of each runner here. So
I believe the Sound Defense got it. I don't think Cake did.
Well, at least one of 2 ain't bad. That shot obviously aimed for the palace, but because Bolo is really bad at electronics, it misses. Targeting modules are important when you're doing long-range artillery, and to the benefit of everything that's going on right now, Sound Defense is going to be breaking into the Abandoned Factory, our more or less final dungeon. He's going to use a potion to do the auto skip on the key. Remember, he does have 1 extra one from 10 Islands, so I'm going to be curious to see which one he skips here.
I imagine he'll skip the upper one here and just go straight down, but that's indeed what he's doing.
Yeah, and that would be what I do too. I feel like this one is a little bit quicker than going for the vertical key. Yeah, you have to do a little bit of risky shuffling, and yes, you take the risk of getting squashed by an ice block here on the conveyor belts, but if you're going to do an animation skip like he does, it actually makes this a little bit easier to dodge. Plus, Sound Defense has practiced the lower route where he doesn't have to worry about it. So it makes sense for him to do that. Again, good time save on that. Ooh, Cake nearly falling in that pit there, but saving it with a cannon one as he charges through.
Yeah, with that ice block in the room, if you do that room exactly the same every single time, the ice block will perform exactly the same. So if you find a setup to kind of skip the ice block and do that exactly the same, you should be fine.
Yeah, Sound Defense getting hit by RNG the boss. So Steel Maggot, you'll notice the 3 buttons on his back. The order is RNG. You have to press them in succession to expose his weak spot at the tail. And the code is unknown. There is no clue whatsoever, so you have to pretty much guess it. He got trolled on the first one, but the second code was very free and just knocked down that Steel Maggot in 2 cycles officially. Oh, Cake getting to demonstrate that ice block's potential as well. So
yeah, unfortunately, charging a bit too soon. So just getting the ice block in the face.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge time loss, but it is time loss being sent back to the beginning of the room as he begins his fight with Steel Maggot, RNG, the boss number 2. Let's see how he does. Going for the 2-strike strat and eats a shot there.
He needs to be very careful here with half a heart left and no auto potion. He decides to eat his food there. And I don't think he's using monster milk.
Well, and to actually, no, he's not using it because he's going very bare bones here. This could be a very long fight for Cake, by the way. This boss has a lot of hit points, and the Super Pike Ball will help. But milkless, this boss will drag on. So he's getting very lucky getting these strikes after the tail recedes because you can jump up, get some cannon shots in, and be able to open the code. And he is getting very lucky in those strikes, but this fight is still going to take a while because of the fact he's not using a milk. It's probably the one boss you don't want to go milkless. Still not bad, though, considering what he's done.
Yeah, Sound Defense is on for a very, very good run here. I think going to be high 52s, maybe just into the 53s.
Yeah, depending on what buffs he's going to use and how well he does his next portion of ascending the tower here, we're looking at a high 52, maybe low 53. He just low 52'd?
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a really good run for him right now. Not opting to go over the top, which could save you just a couple of seconds overall if you do it proper. The main thing that we'll watch on his side will be how he ascends his tower. So, just to talk about this particular one, this last dungeon is a nightmare for any casual player. The game expects you to go through Pirate Master Trials, which are these doors, but with proper platforming, as you've seen demonstrated right there, with cannon and hat timing, you are able to actually just skip to the next platform at the top, where the game would normally deposit you after completing a stage. And Sound Defense is putting on a bit of a clinic. He's not missed one yet. Look at him
doesn't
go.
do it. That's really good climb. Yeah, there's a couple ways to do that. Most common one is jump hat, cannon hat, but there are a couple of variants and they all work exactly the same. But yeah, very nice by him.
Yes, self-compacto, hat in timing, correct. Although Shantae is cuter than the protagonist of the Hat in Time series, game. As he goes in full buffs on the final boss fight here. So Pirate Master is a little bit of RNG. The teleportation is really the RNG point. This is where the bubble shield comes into play because after the 4th teleport, he starts shooting these bubbles, these purple bubbles, which would actually one-shot Shantae. That's 8 points of damage. So the bubble shield completely negates those particular projectile attacks, actually all of them in this particular game. And he's having a really solid fight. I've not seen a misstep on his part, other than the fact he's not jumping just to get that one extra hit in, but really solid time. He's finished and ends with a 53-14 SRL time. So GG,
very nice time by him. Yeah, like a whole minute and a half quicker than his previous best in the tournament. So
yeah,
that's going to come in handy.
Yeah, he's come around. I mean, he's a long-time runner of this game, and to be honest, he's the reason I started running this game. I watched his SGDQ run quite a few years back, and that's what got me into it. He does a perfect ascension of the tower, destroys the Pirate Master. I mean, this is an extremely solid run coming out of the tournament. He's about a few seconds lower than where I am on average, so he's got me shaking in my boots, risky boots probably. As
this just drives their group right open. So now Cake and Sound Defense both 2 and 1 in the group. Currently both joint first. So any one of there's about 3 or 4 runners that can make it out of that group, and no idea which one's going to come in first. Yeah,
between this and Group Sky, these are the 2 groups that have been the most points of contention. As CakeSauc is currently taking on our final boss as well. He's having an extremely good fight with that. The platforming there was amazing. bouncing between the moving platforms without dropping to the ground. That was an extremely good fight by Cake Sauce. Unfortunately, not quite enough to mitigate the RNG and the play of sound defense, but a really, really good run by Cake Sauce as well. This was a great race.
Yeah, that was very good considering you was just using your regular Monster Milk there from Cake. And without an auto potion, if it had taken another second or two and got hit by the laser, he would have been over, unfortunately. But thankfully, he managed to knock that out.
So I'm just checking to see. Cake Sauce is obviously kind of in the new setup, but I want to see if Sound Defense is able to join us for an interview as well. I will bring in Cake Sauce, though, in the meantime. Somebody here. Let me see if we can get this. Oh, now we do. Okay.
Yeah, just bear with us for a second. Cake, congratulations on that run.
Hey, thanks.
A very interesting RNG throughout.
Yeah, it was. That was honestly, a really entertaining run. I had some pretty comical things go on.
Yeah, what do you think? That getting caught in town line was very unfortunate, but the two Monster Milks early on, Monster Milk for Ammo Baron and then Ammo Baron just doing nothing but charges.
Yeah, it was kind of like, well, I guess you ended up breaking about even with Ammo Baron there, even though I got the Monster Milk. So it wasn't too bad. What's up, Sound Defense? GG, man.
Hey, GG, man. Sorry, I'm just still kind of shaking after that. I was so certain that I did not have a chance after those sewers. I'm just.
Oh, is that how you got behind early? Was the sewers?
Oh, the sewers treated him horribly, but I'll let him talk about it.
Yeah. I had to kill every snake in the sewers to get my flesh pops.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mr. Demanding below.
I'm realizing now after the race that I made a mistake in not doing all of the scimitar strats that I could. I don't think. I can't honestly remember half this race. And just after that, I just decided I was gonna go for broke and play my heart out, and thankfully the RNG turned around after that, so I guess things ended up evening out.
Yeah, definitely too interesting. Cake had very good RNG early on, getting two Monster Milks, one before Ammo Baron, although Ammo Baron then shutting him out. But then, Cake not really getting anything else for the rest of the run, while you were getting Super Pikeballs, Super Monster Milks all over the place.
Oh, now I feel terrible.
Yeah, whoever made that comment about the skeletons being all out of Pike Balls and Super Pike Balls before the run, I blame that person.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything from those guys. And then when I was inside Tanline Temple, the Scorpion Gals dropped me 2 gems.
Oh,
and I was like,
oh no!
At the Bat Gal gave me nothing inside of Cackle Tower.
Geez, that is rough. I am sorry to hear that.
But then, even better, after all of that, I farmed up 200 gems so I could go back. I was like, I'm gonna buy my bubble shield because I didn't get one of those either. I was like, I'm gonna buy a bubble shield, I'm gonna buy a super monster milk, and I'm gonna buy a super pike ball. And then I accidentally bought 3 super pike balls.
Oh no! Oh goodness!
And at that point, I just died laughing. And I was like, I guess I'll just have fun with the rest of this one.
We didn't notice you get the 3 super pike balls, but you got a drop on your way back through Scarecrow Fields of that as well.
But it was a super pike ball, which you didn't need. So
yeah, it was great. So I fought Steel Maggot with just a super pike ball, and I was like,
Ooh, that's dangerous.
That explains that. I was curious about the lack of milk because that's the one boss you probably do not want to take as a milk, but you brought it into focus. I completely missed that shop as well, and that explains a lot. Which that puts you at a disadvantage, but it was still a really great race between you two. So very very good job, both of you. Considering, I mean, the balance of RNG was fun to watch. I recommend you guys watch the race back just to see how each other fared and see how it all played out, because it was very entertaining from our perspective.
All right, thank you. I also, speaking of RNG, I wanted to point out I may now have the record for the fastest Tan Line Temple entry. If anyone was watching that.
Oh wait, did I miss what happened there?
Wait, did you do like the one strat?
I got in with a single scimitar.
A single scimitar. I missed that too. I was
Yeah,
watching Cake at that point.
Yeah, watching Cake get caught. Too busy watching that.
I was gonna do 2 scimitars, but then Shantae dropped and the door opened, and I had no mic, so I was yelling at my monitor at that point.
Well, GG on world record 10 line temple entry.
Thank you.
Literally Esco approved strat right there.
Yep. As Esco strikes again, and here we go, new category. We have True Percent crawling into the Run Ruddy Tops cutscene percent, and now we have 10 line temple entry as a possible new category as well.
Oh goodness.
What a funny race.
That was like you really put up an amazing time, man. Like I think both of us did really well. The chat certainly seemed happy with it.
Yeah, that was an amazing race. I mean, you guys are like splitting my average time, and I'm a 3-year runner. Sound Defense, I know you're longer than I am. Cake, you're new. I mean, you guys put on a great show as anticipated, and I hope the chat was not disappointed by that at all.
Hey, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was a lot of fun.
All right, guys. So I'm not going to drag this on anymore. Sound Defense, any more thoughts on your race or the race and your run?
I want to say thanks to people who were watching. I know my family likes watching my speedruns, and they were tuned in for this. So thank you, everyone who was tuned in.
CakeSauc3, any further word from you?
No, just congrats to you, Sound Defense, on the win. And that was a lot of, I don't know, that was fun. I was happy that we did this today.
It was terrifying and also fun.
Yeah, it was definitely terrifying.
My co-commentator Majadi, anything else from you?
No, yeah, that was a really, really good race. I'm glad I got the opportunity to commentate it. So yeah, GG to both runners.
Yeah, I was a little leery about the time frame for this particular run and doing commentary, but I'm glad that I did. And as myself, JT Norimaki, I appreciate everyone coming out. Speed Gaming, thank you so much for restreaming this. I know that there's a lot going on right now, but I really appreciate you guys making some room for this particular race. It was extremely entertaining. Follow our runners, CakeSauc3 and Sound Defense. They are both great people that you definitely need to be watching when they stream. Follow Majadi. He's the founder of the 2 shopping route that a lot of people use now. So definitely need to give him a follow. And I appreciate y'all coming out and watching. And look forward to seeing you all later. We've got a lot of races coming up for this particular game over the weekend. Just to keep an eye out, we've got one more race tomorrow. Sound Defense is going up against CakeSauc3 at 9 p.m. Eastern, so be on the lookout for that. That'll be on Speed Gaming 4, based on scheduling at this particular point. Myself and Majadi will be commenting for that race as well, so look forward to that. And then Friday, we got 3 races. Trenter TR versus Loch Madonna, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Django Storm versus Malin, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And Kid of South versus yours truly, JT Norimaki, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So be on the lookout for what channel those will be on. And then keep an eye out on the schedule for any future races going forward. That said, we will turn the reins over to Speed Gaming and allow them to go to whatever next event that they have in place. I'm assuming probably some Link to the Past. There's a lot going on that front, especially the Rendo front, but also the LMG tournament. So appreciate everyone watching. Have a good night, and we will see you next time.